First day of school for students is oftentimes a moment where students can show off their new clothes and what later becomes the trends on campus. We all remember Jinko jeans, Doc Martens, and FUBU jerseys. This year, first day of school fashion will be all about what kind of mask you have. We have the N95 Bane looking mask, the over the neck mask where kids start looking like members of Mortal Kombat, and fake Gucci cloth masks that some kid found on Alibaba. In a typical year, nearly 2/3 of the 50 million public school children in the United States would have returned to the classroom by the third week of August. This year, many of the country's largest districts have delayed the start of school until Labor Day. According to The Economist, the 50 largest school districts in America, 35 plan to start the coming back of school entirely remote. That means the coolest trends on the first day of school is going to be your virtual background. Like this one, jungle theme. Or this one, the continued disruption to schooling will probably have permanent learning loss disproportionately to poorer students. However, some rural schools are able to go back in person and even hire a motivational speaker. And that's me. I was invited to present in a rural county in Nebraska to get students excited about coming back to school and supporting the school's new guidelines to provide a safe school environment. The principal and counselor wanted a creative and positive experience that made the first day of school not just about the rules. It was a true honor to be with that community as I've been quarantined since March 15th. I wanted to be safe and responsible as I visited their community, so I drove 11 hours from Texas to Nebraska. Greeley, Nebraska is a city with less than 600 people, with the closest Walmart an hour away. The school includes students from other towns across the county and has a total student population of 120 students between 7th and 12th grade. Most of the families worked in agriculture and had limited digital connectivity, making full virtual not an option. I was able to speak and share some inspirational words while also getting some students laughing during this weird start of school. At least I think they were laughing, but it's really hard to tell when they have masks on. I also found it difficult to keep my mask on throughout my speech. So it made me sympathize with teachers who are going to have to lecture in class with a mask. While in Greeley, nearly every student and faculty member wore a mask. The school had an assembly on how school will work this year and together how they can make it work and have a safe environment. They also set up lunch to include more shifts and create social distance guidelines. While back in school, I felt the hardest part was managing the social distance guidelines. But you're able to get into a rhythm after a couple interactions with students. Greeley County only had 4 cases all summer and 0 deaths. I got to sit down with Mr. Wood, one of the teachers, and one of the 4 who actually contracted the virus. I wanted to ask him how do he think the first day of school was and what he thinks the biggest challenge is going to be this year.
My name is Scott Wood. I'm a teacher here. I teach high school math, some woodworking, engineering classes. I actually grew up around here, went to high school here, so it's really neat coming back here. And I'm actually related to a lot of people in the area, so I end up teaching a lot of cousins and even now like nieces and nephews. When I first found out I had it for about a week before my wife had gotten it. And just knowing that, our family, we knew we were going to be quarantined. I got 3 little kids, so we knew I was going to be quarantined for 10 days until my symptoms improved. They were all going to have to be quarantined for 14 days. So just kind of preparing ourselves for that. And being in a small town like this, we had a lot of relatives that, we had been around previously, so just making sure they still felt well and not catching anything, but then having them also as the support to where if we needed groceries, they would run to the store for us and they could get things, and just kind of having that support structure. And then sure enough, about the time I got over mine, my wife got diagnosed with COVID too, and then, that's another 2 weeks. So I have 3 little kids that haven't been out of the house in a month now. And that's a lot of the big thing I worry about, like the kids around here too. Not necessarily they might get it, but if they're exposed and then they're expected to be out 2 weeks, and a small school like this, you get a small part of your population out for 2 weeks, that's a big thing. The way the school year ended, it was just the start of 4th quarter, and it was week by week, and then pretty soon, the month was gone, and then the quarter was gone, and we didn't get graduation. Those kids missed all that stuff. So I think coming into this year, it's just about getting these kids back together, bringing everybody back together, trying to make things seem as normal as possible. I know there's little restrictions, things like that, but just it's still going to be the same classes we take, the same kids they go to school with, same teachers, and just kind of getting them back into that routine and getting back to seeing each other and not being separated, just kind of that social aspect of it too. I was actually kind of surprised with the number of kids that did wear masks, and I think it kind of put into perspective for them too, and I think they realize, they may not get it, but if they're around a teacher that gets it and they're expected to quarantine, they're going to have to sacrifice, that 2 weeks of their life where they can't do their activities and their sports, and I think more of the kids are kind of buying into it now that you don't know what's going to happen from day to day. You know, like you could have everybody here today, Monday, half the school could have to stay home, or, you know, we could lose our fall sports season halfway through next week. You know, a month from now they could tell us that we have to go to remote learning. So just that uncertainty of knowing whether we'll all be here today or tomorrow. It's not just them, you got to kind of think of everybody in the whole case.
Thank you, Scott, for sharing your perspective. I hope you have a marvelous school year. If starting school was not already difficult, having to deal with students not showing up after months of planning, we didn't expect Zoom to be tardy. Zoom out here like, yo, Miss Smith, I slept through my alarm. Can you give me a pass to class? Zoom has to be better and know how crucial their reliability is for us to service our students as we go back to school. Districts have literally been planning for you to show up as their kids can't.
A virtual mishap making for a rough start to the school day. Zoom experienced widespread outages. April Sanchez has 3 kids in Desert Sands Unified School District. She says it took 45 minutes for her youngest to log in.
I think it's clear that both faculty and students seek human connection. I felt like it's been such a long summer with so much trauma and events. So just remember that the beginning of school is less about coursework and more about checking in on one another, the students, the staff. And I want you to be clear that even if there's a second wave, we as teachers can prepare for it, as we are now familiar with recording our lessons and thinking about asynchronous learning. If you've already had your first day of school, please share how it went in the comments below and what you learned, as educators across the country are preparing for their first day of school this week. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the like button. If you want to see more episodes like this, please subscribe. And if you're a part of a school or an educator community, it would mean so much if you can share this video as well. My name is EJ Caron. Thank you for watching This Week in Education.